Queen Dido is the newest archer commander and she is absolutely insane. Her reports in the garrison have been mental. And today I will go over the Queen Dido in-depth guide. I will talk about pairs, talents, skills that are important, if she's even worth the investment for most players, for the field and for garrison. So if you are interested in Queen Dido as a field commander, as a garrison commander, as a commander in general, you definitely should check out this video before you make any investments. So ZHUGE and Queen Dido came out together probably about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, and Queen Dido has only fully come out now, just with her Mightiest Governor event, because it ended yesterday. So today we'll talk about her and how she's really been performing, and I'm going to start off by going over Queen Dido's skills, because those are probably the most important aspect of any commander. Starting off, her active skill, she does 2000 direct damage factor to the target she's hitting, and if it's a rallied army, the skill also reduces the skill damage of up to 5 enemy troops near this commander. This is by 30% for 3 seconds. So it's an AoE debuff on a single target skill, which is unique. I've never really seen that. I guess it's because she would have been too OP with an actual AoE damage. Next, arch units led by this commander gain 20% increased defense, which is some pretty good stats, and these are outside of garrison. She deals 5% extra damage to infantry. This is also outside of garrison. And if she contains only archers, which she usually should and almost always will, she takes 10% less normal attack damage, which is once again a really nice thing to have on a garrison commander and even a field commander, because normal attack is counterattack and actually attacking the opponent. So that is quite an important thing, and I think that taking less is obviously very good. Third skill, she gains 20% attack for all archer units. This is not garrison exclusive, the rest of the skill is though. So while garrisoned in a stronghold or city, the normal attacks of this commander have a 20% chance to inflict the ambushed effect on the target for 3 seconds. This prevents the target troop from benefiting from effects triggered by being surrounded. This can trigger once every 8 seconds. So whenever you're surrounded or whenever you surround anything, basically it increases your all damage. And what this does is it effectively cancels that. So if we look at this barbarian here, if I surround this barbarian, it's going to take an increase all damage, and you'll see it pop up on screen. See that damage taken up? That is the increase in all damage from a barbarian or anything being surrounded. What Dido's skill does is it basically negates this. So when she puts this effect, and it will only really be on the rally, she makes them deal less all damage. One thing to note is this isn't actually a lot of all damage. It's not like it's an 80% all damage increase. It's like a 7 to 10% last I checked. So when she does this, it's not too insane, but it is basically nerfing the rally's damage by about 10%, which is pretty good, but it's not extremely game-changing. Her fourth skill, when garrisoned in a stronghold or city, archer units gain 20% increased health, which is very nice. Archers don't usually have much health, and can reduce incoming skill damage by 15% once every 10 seconds. So whenever she takes skill damage after 10 seconds, she can reduce that by 15%. Pretty simple. I think that's a nice little just kind of anti-swarm in a way, kind of making her more tanky and giving her some longevity, and I really do like that. Her expertise improves her third skill, and basically, first of all, you gain an extra 20% increased attack. This is for the field, so you get up to 40% attack for the field. And then while garrisoned in a stronghold or your city, she now has a 30% chance to reduce the target's defense by 40%, which is a really amazing debuff, and then inflict the ambushed effect for 3 seconds, and that does what I said before. Now that debuff is really good, and it's in the passive skill slot, so that debuff in a garrison is absolutely insane. If that was on the field though, that would be completely mental. Like, that would be by far and away one of the best debuffs in the game. Though it is on a garrison slot, it does mean if she gets swarmed, she's going to kind of be destroying the rally by putting that defense debuff on the people she's attacking. And this can stack with a Nevsky, so if you swarm the rally, it's going to stack with that. It will stack with the Tamiris. You can get up to like 100% defense reduction on a target, which is kind of mental. Now, Queen Dido for the field, her most important skills are definitely her active skill and her second skill and her third skill. Purely because they are the 3 skills that give you all the stats for the field, besides your expertise, where you get another 20% attack. Her field stats aren't too insane, so like she's got 2000 direct damage factor, that's just up to standard, barely. She has the skill damage reduction if you're swarming a rally, which can be interesting. So if you are a big rally swarmer, she's pretty good for that. She also does have a lot of defense, which I like. She has the damaged infantry and the normal attack reduction. I already went over that. And she has the 20% increased attack at that point. You will have the expertise her to gain 40% increased attack, so an extra 20%. But for the most part, I mean, she's usable at 5551 for the field. But the thing is, I don't think she's going to be too amazing on the field, and we'll go over that a little bit later. Now let's go over her talents. Now for the field, this is basically the build for talents you would use on Queen Dido. I mean, Her garrison tree doesn't have too much. You just get the first point into your garrison tree, which would be this talent right here. It just gives you a little bit extra defense. So yes, it's nice, but it's just to use the extra point. Other than that, the garrison tree is obviously useless for the field. So if you're running Queen Dido on the field, you go all in on the archer tree and you get rejuvenate and you get loose formation, so a little bit more tanky. Rejuvenate on the support tree is really good. You don't have to take it to 3. I just like it at 3. Even though sometimes you do over rage, I think it's still worth the talent point. Then you just kind of have to get the archer tree because you don't have the skill tree. There's no point maxing support tree. It's really not that good for a march that you're trying to deal damage with. If she was a pure support march and she's buffing at the marches, I'd say go for it, but she's not a pure support march. So this is the only talent build I'd kind of use on a Queen Dido. Now for garrison, if I was running Queen Dido as a garrison and a primary for the garrison, I would run a talent tree similar to this. The extra 6 talent points here would actually go down into the garrison tree, and you can see on the garrison tree, it has this point right here, impenetrable fortifications, and this is really good, so I think having this is a must-have for all garrison commanders. So just going down here and using the 6 points there is definitely worth it. Other than that, everything is very normal for a pure archer talent build, and for a garrison, it's still pretty normal. You'd run something like this, and then obviously don't forget you are still putting the 6 points into your garrison tree for impenetrable fortifications, because 6% all damage reduction in a garrison is really good. On the field though, that is useless since you can't benefit from it. Now let's discuss pairs for Queen Dido, and I mean, for the field, she's not the best commander, and I think we've been able to kind of gather that. But if you are running her on the field, obviously her best pair would probably be a Boudica and a Queen Dido secondary if you're swarming a rally, because you are getting Boudica's amazing debuff, and then you're getting Queen Dido's debuff onto a rally and everyone else that's around the rally. So making everyone around the rally deal less skill damage and the rally itself dealing less skill damage is amazing, and I think that's definitely a very good part of having this as a swarming a rally field march. If you're running her as like a 6th or 7th march, which is probably what most people would do if they're running only archers, or even as like a 4th or 5th march for archers, you'd probably put it with like a Tamiris and just drop the rejuvenate talent just to make sure that she's not really gaining too much rage. And Tamiris with Queen Dido is kind of just like a debuff march for the most part. I know Queen Dido's debuff is only rally exclusive, but Tamiris' debuff is very good. And then having her behind a commander that's not very rage reliant is pretty good. So I think that since Dido is not too rage reliant, like she does benefit from it, but it's not the be all or end all in her kit. So you could use Queen Dido with Tamiris as well. If you want to use her a little bit more effectively, maybe still get some value from her, Nebu or YSG or even Gilgamesh also works. So really any commander could work. I just would try and tell you not to use her for the field, because she's not that amazing for the field. Now, for Garrison, unlike I predicted, Queen Dido does not really pair very well with a Manatori. Like, it's going to trade 1-to-1 maybe. Sometimes it doesn't even trade 1-to-1 against the rally. So if I were you, I think Queen Dido should go with probably Heraclius. That got really good reports. I saw some reports on Omniarch and Chisco's channel, and Heraclius with Queen Dido was doing pretty damn good. So if you are using him, I think that's a very good Garrison pair. Another option is actually ZHUGE with Queen Dido. This is just an absolute AoE damage monster with a very tanky Garrison commander, because Queen Dido's debuffs actually make her quite tanky. So Queen Dido with ZHUGE, if you want to just use AoE and absolutely kill some people, is a very good way to do it. This is not a very anti-swarm Garrison. It does have some anti-swarm, but people standing near that Garrison or trying to reinforce the rally that get hit by ZHUGE AoE are just going to melt. So that's a really nice way to just kind of milk kills off your enemies if you really just want to gain a bunch of kills while still defending whatever you are trying to defend. It is best for people who are obviously surrounding flags with troops but not really attacking the flag. So possibly an A seed or a B seed KVK, this Garrison combination is going to perform really well. Oddly enough, one other Garrison combination that really worked well was Henry. I presume it's just because he's got really high damage factor. He takes less skill damage, which is really anti-swarm, and then couple that with them taking more skill damage from Dido. And then on top of that, add the fact that Henry has a lot of defense and a lot of attack, and then has even more revenge damage on his 4th skill and increased damage factor. And if you expertise him, he takes even less damage. I understand why he actually kind of works as a Garrison. It's not optimal, like it's not the best Garrison, but it's probably the 2nd or 3rd best, depending on how much you value the AoE on ZHUGE. So if you are running a Henry with a Queen Dido, I mean, it's actually going to work, oddly enough. Boudica not really, because her 3rd skill, she does need to be on the map, and she kind of really needs a lot of the stats from that 3rd skill to make her very powerful. Overall though, Henry is actually a very good pair. Another thing to note with Queen Dido, if you're running her with a Heraclius, you definitely want to get the hollow square formation because the inscriptions on that, especially the KVK ones, really benefit from having a shield, like a lot, and it's a very garrison oriented formation. So if you're running Queen Dido, you need this formation 100%, and if you have it with Heraclius, it's literally a must have, and you definitely want the KVK inscriptions for that. Also, one thing to note, if you aren't running Heraclius and you still want to benefit from a shield, and this kind of goes for any march, you can actually just get Scholar's Lucky Coin, and even if you don't have a shield commander, for example, archer commanders have no shields, and you still have a fully like talented, possibly hollow square set, you could put Scholar's Lucky Coin. So Scholar's Lucky Coin for most garrison commanders works quite well. I would put that with probably Ring of Doom or Horn of Fury, preferably Ring of Doom. If you don't want to run a shield or don't want to run hollow square, just get Ring of Doom and Horn of Fury. If you're running LIANG, that's definitely the best two combinations. Run that with the wedge formation and you're doing pretty good. So pretty simple on the equipment right there. Now, what is my overall opinion on Queen Dido? For Garrison, she absolutely destroys right now, and she's certainly in the meta for the Garrison commanders. Field-wise, though, I don't really know. I mean, she doesn't look like she's going to perform too well. Some reports I've seen of her in the field are very average, like they're not amazing. I don't think she synergizes that amazingly with any commanders for the field. Like, yes, she's going to work with some. Yeah, she's pretty good if you're running over 5 archer marches, just because of her higher damage factor and her slightly higher stats. But for the most part, it's not too crazy. Like, I've seen commanders who are way better. For example, Zulang, Boudica, Henry, Nebu, YSG, Cyrus. All these commanders are going to outperform a Queen Dido almost any day. As such, I think that for almost every player, if you're getting Queen Dido, you're only getting her for Garrison. You probably won't be using her on the field, and if you do, she's going to have very limited capabilities. I wouldn't be taking her into a lot of battles. Like, if there is a ton of people and you're getting swarmed a lot, Dido is not the commander for that. If you're in the ruins or altars, she's not the commander for that. She's got no march speed. So things like that really do impact her field capabilities, and I think that's why for most players who aren't a Garrison main or don't really need a Garrison commander, I wouldn't be getting her. Even if you need a city Garrison, I still wouldn't even get Dido, because for the most part, any city Garrison can work, and the best city Garrison at the end of the day is truly a peace shield. That being said, if you have a Dido and you want to use her on the field, right now, like today, she's going to work just because she's got higher stats than most commanders. She's got higher damage than most commanders. So for the most part, if you are running a Queen Dido, she'll work for now, but in about a year or so, not even, I don't think she's going to be that good anymore. As the newer commanders come out, as more relics release, as things like that slowly phase her out of the field, I think it's just not going to work. Garrison Rise, though, she's going to stay up there for quite a while. I reckon at least a year or so. Now, if you enjoyed today's video or really just like the perspective I provided on Queen Dido, or even if you just like the soothing sound of my voice, consider checking out yesterday's video where I talk all about Guan Yu in 2023 and why I don't think he will be meta for that much longer. If you have a Guan, that is definitely a video you should check out. It will be on the end screen now, and I do thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.